So let's get into our game preview. What are you guys watching for when the Raiders have the ball?
Just I think more progress, more upward trending from Gardner Minshew. I thought he actually wasn't bad last week. It's probably one of his better games. I think they need to get the ball, spread out, different guys. I think clearly the Chiefs kind of. I know everyone here denies it when you ask the coaches about it, but they took away Brock Bowers for 2.5 quarters. So I think you got to make them pay somewhere else. The teams do that. So I think you need to see more if it's jet sweeps or whatever. Or Gardner taking shots down the field at Trey Tucker. That seemed to be a combination that worked in the past. They haven't really taken any shots deep recently, but yeah, I think Gardner definitely. I think he was better last week, and we'll see if he can keep it up and not throw any interceptions.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
mine is seeing how this kind of revamped offensive line holds up against the Bengals and a pretty aggressive defense. It's not like they haven't blitzed at an insane rate this season. It's more situational, but they are pretty exotic and mix up things pretty often. So I think them having another new offensive line combination with the rookie center in there, I think that's really going to be the big factor whether this offense is able to have some success or not because as much as we talk about Luke Getsy and Gardner Minshew, like if they can't run, it's not just that they can't run block. Like they're literally like one of the worst run blocking teams that has ever existed, or at least since 2000. I wrote a story earlier this year, earlier this week. This had the second worst success rate since 2000, since True Media has been checking the statistic, and so it's like historically bad right now. And I just don't know like when you're running the ball that poorly like this Gardner Minshew, he's not throwing 50 times a game. Like it's not a recipe for success with him as your quarterback, especially with these receiving weapons. It's not like they're loaded outside of Brock Bowers, and so I think that offensive line does this new combination work, and are they able to hold up? I think that's really the key to the game for the offense.
yeah. The Bengals defense is the worst run defense in NFL as far as efficiency, but as we know, the Raiders are the worst team offensively in rushing success rate. So it's going to be a battle of I don't even know what to call this battle, but it's. I mean, if the Raiders can't run the ball on this defense, they're not going to be able to run the ball on any defense. So this is kind of a get right game for the run game.
It's about, they played some bad Russian defenses this year,
Yeah,
whether it's the Panthers or the
this is the
Rams,
worst.
and
This is the
Uh,
worst one.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see, but I think if they can't turn that around, then they're not going to have much success.
Yeah, passing wise, they like to play a lot of cover two. They want to they know that they don't have great defensive backs, and they're just trying to contain and not give up explosive pass plays. So I think Gardner Minshew did a better job of just taking those quick passes when they were there last week against the Chiefs. So that should continue and just be patient against this pass defense. I think Brock Bowers should have a big game against these zones. Um, so and they'll probably overcorrect too and make sure that Bowers gets a ton of targets in this game. So I think you just methodically move down the field. I don't know if this offense has potential to get any explosive pass plays, but again, against this type of defense, just take what they give you, go downfield. Hopefully, you can run the ball with a little bit more efficiency than you have. And yeah, this is a very bad defense. So if you have any chance of winning this game, you have to be able to keep this game high scoring. And yeah, this can't be a game. You're not going to win this game scoring under 23 points. All right, what are we watching? Oh wait, what was that?
This is very specific.
23 was
And
a
you got your
nice number.
yeah, I like it.
I feel like that's the Raiders' average. Is it or
23?
maybe no?
It's not that. No, they
That was a
wish.
little bit high, but
It's not 23.
Okay, they have to go way over that then. All
yeah.
right, what to watch? What are we watching when the Bengals have the ball?
Well, I was liking that matchup. I know T. Higgins missed practice again today. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I think he probably will, but there's also the contract thing. He might want to get traded. Who knows? But if he does play, I thought that was been a nice matchup. Him and Jacorian Bennett. I think Jacorian Bennett's had some nice success this year, but I wouldn't say he's covered anybody the caliber of T. Higgins, so I think that would definitely be a great test for him. So I'm looking for that matchup in if T. Higgins plays.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defense was pretty good last week against the Chiefs. I know, like, you look at the box score, it's like they gave up a good amount of points, but that was really partly because of the offense putting them in bad situations. And so, kind of seeing, are they able to contain Joe Burrow in his passing game? I mean, even without Higgins, they're pretty explosive just because of how good Jamar Chase is. And just seeing, with that aggressive approach that Patrick Graham's been using, blitzing pretty often, using 5-man fronts pretty often. This Bengals offensive line, like the pressure rate and all that stuff looks good, but I think a lot of that is because of Burrow getting the ball out pretty quickly. So seeing if the Raiders can rattle Burrow and force some turnovers of their own for once. I know they had the pick last week with Merritt getting that tip pass from Mahomes, but for the most part, it's been the offense turning the ball over a lot, and the Bengals and the defense not really creating many of their own. And so seeing if they're able to swing the game with this one, kind of like we talked about last week, but they can force a kind of couple of turnovers out of Burrow, whether that's picking them off or getting after them and having a strip sack or two. Um, I think that's what I'm be looking for the defense, kind of those game changing plays that makes it a little bit easier on the offense that really seems to be pretty limited at this point.
I thought it was interesting that Patrick Graham's been in the league a long time. He said today that this is his first time going against Joe Burrow, and watching him on film this week, he's like, "Wow, this guy's really good." And kind of like he also joked that they talked about Halloween costumes today. He said if someone was wearing a Joe Burrow costume, he'd be pretty scared today. So I thought that was kind of funny. But that's clearly Joe is one of the better quarterbacks, one of the top three quarterbacks in the league. I'd say, I mean, maybe top five, I guess. But clearly an elite thrower of the ball, so you got to get some pressure, not just Max Crosby, but I know Terry Wilson had a sack last week, and maybe he's coming on. That'd be nice, but you need some pressure on him to kind of force some mistakes, or else you're going to be in for a long day.
Yeah, and I totally get where Patrick Graham is coming from because when I was watching the game against the Eagles, I was just, I was blown away. I was like, man, this guy is playing at a really, really high level right now. I mean, like if he wants to, he could play the quick game, get rid of the ball accurately, put the ball in spots where guys could run after the catch. He could extend plays. I mean, he extended he converted on a 3rd and 22 last week where he was able to get away from pass rushers, and then one of the zone defenders came up to get him, and he threw the ball right over their heads to convert. Uh, he started the season a little slow coming off his injury, but he's gotten back to being the Joe Burrow that is an MVP candidate, a guy that could take his team deep into playoffs. Um, Obviously, this offense is a lot different without T. Higgins. It's not like they have a ton of depth outside of their top two playmakers, but obviously those guys are both elite. So it'll be a big deal if T. Higgins can play or not. Because if T. Higgins can't play, then you could just put all your attention onto Jamar Chase, and Chase is obviously a top three type of receiver in this league, and they're doing a good job of moving him around. He's playing in the slot more. They're finding ways to get him the ball underneath so he can run after the catch. And man, he is dangerous with the ball in his hands. So yeah, Burrow's playing at a really high level right now. You have to find a way to make him try to hold the ball though. I think he's at his best when he could just go quick game and get the ball out accurately. Um, but again, he can extend too. But you have to try to get him down for a sack when you can. His worst games are when he does try to do too much and he ends up taking a lot of sacks. And you know, I think you want to try to bait him into one of those types of games. All right, so what are we looking at as far as matchups?
It feels like whoever with Higgins, I mean, I guess if Higgins plays, that changes the math. But with it looking like he's at least going to probably be questionable to doubtful to play, I'll just say Jamar Chase versus whoever. The Raiders don't seem to be a team that locks in the cornerbacks on one guy and they fall in the entire game. So Chase is most likely going to see multiple guys. But I think I mean, it's really the key for the defense because outside of him, I mean, the Bengals don't really have a ton of scary weapons, and they also haven't been able to run the ball very well this season either. So I think they can do a good job containing Chase. That could give him a chance to slow up this Bengals offense. And so whether that's Jack Jones, Jacorian Bennett, Nate Hobbs, whoever has that matchup, and I'm sure they're going to be sending help his way. I know that the Bengals are a little bit of a not a little bit. They are a dangerous team to go single high against. But if Higgins isn't out there, it's not like you have a guy on the other side of the field that you worry about. So if you send that extra safety help over to Chase, maybe you can bottle him up and keep him from having a big game in this one.
Vic?
Like I mentioned, the Higgins a better matchup, but also like Trayvon Merrick's playing really well. I think in the box, and he's get him going there, get some more blitzes, maybe some pressure from him. But I think he's kind of shown his upside a little bit. He's also in the contract year, so it's good for him. He's making some money for himself, but clearly, I think just kind of build off what he's doing and be a physical guy who can kind of make plays in the box and also make some get some pressure on Burrow.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch out for Tyree Wilson against the Bengals interior. I thought he had his best game against. I mean, honestly, he probably looked the best he's looked in the league against the Chiefs, who have a very physical interior. Um, and he's the thing with him is he's still technique wise and get off wise very inconsistent. But man, you're seeing these dominant flashes, and he's like not even getting his hands in the right place. He's not getting his arms extended, but he's like knocking guys back and getting pressure. And I think he's getting more confident. Obviously, you need the technique and everything to really hone in and be cleaner and be more consistent for him to consistently make an impact on the game. But we're seeing these flashes against good players, and like we talked about. You're going to have to pressure Burrow, and I think interior pressure is always the best way against quarterbacks like him. So um, Tyree will play outside a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him rush inside a lot. And the Bengals have struggled inside, so yeah, my matchup to watch out for is Tyree against this Bengals interior. All right, let's get into X factors.
I think for me, I mean, it's not like he's I know X Factors usually do guys who aren't big names, but I think Max Crosby's the one for this one. I mean, the Bengals, as I mentioned, the offensive line hasn't been good. Old friend Trent Brown is on injured reserve, so they have a backup right tackle in right now, and then Orlando Brown, as I mentioned, the left tackle looks like he might be doubtful to play in this one. So they could have two backup tackles coming in this one, and I think Max is starting to finally be like 100% after the hype was spraying back in week 2, and he's had a good season. Like I think he has 6.5 sacks, and he's still been one of the best edge rushers in the league. But we haven't seen him have one of those just kind of takeover games in a minute. And so I think this could be one where if he has 2 or 3 sacks, and a few tackles for loss, and kind of wrecks the game, I think that could help Sunday for the Raiders. And so I'm gonna go with Max.
Good question. Just a theoretical question. Can your best player be an X factor?
I think so.
How do you
Let's
define
look up the
X factor?
definition.
What
Look up
what,
the
what do we mean?
definition of X Factor.
Like the extra factor that you don't expect. Maybe I could be wrong. That's why I always thought like the
No,
extra, like
you're right.
the
I just never
Uh,
really thought about it.
uh, I just Google it. A variable in a given situation that could have the most significant impact on the outcome.
okay, but I'd argue Max Crosby's not a variable. How about that? Max Crosby's a constant.
Well,
Oh,
everybody's a variable,
Well,
in
not
a
Max
way.
Crosby,
The
but
other
maybe
definition is a noteworthy special
hey
talent
man,
or quality. Hey,
yeah,
that's just saying.
this
It
is some
sounds like a fit.
quality podcasting right
You
here.
picked the fucking you
We're
picked
debating.
the
That's my
quarterback
fault.
the first 4 weeks
It's
of the
totally my
season.
fault. It's
Every
my
week it
fault.
was Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew X Factor. No, that's why I asked. I didn't know. Now I know. I was educated, but my X Factor will be Des-
He's over here
uh,
stalling because you don't have one.
I was, and I didn't stall long enough, man. You came back with the answer too quick. I need more time. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Desmond Ritter with the
Oh,
run option package. We're gonna
hey
do a run
man.
option play, and he'll bust one for a 13-yard gain on third and
Hmm.
six. Be a huge play.
all right.
Who's your
My
actual
X
X Factor?
factor. I'm gonna say the Raiders' offensive line. I mean, they have to be able to run the ball against this front, and I was gonna say Alexander Madison, but no, 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 no. It's this is gonna be on the offensive line. They got to make some holes, and whoever's playing running back is gonna should be able to have a pretty good day against this front. And if they can't do that, they're not going to win this game. I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to come out and pass for 300 against this defense, even though it's not that great. I think this is a game where you're going to have to rush for at least 120.
And 20.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like these numbers, man. 23 points, 120 yards. Yeah,
120.
definitely
Yeah, yeah.
strict bars. I like it.
All right. Let's get into predictions. More numbers.
Predictions. I
More
already
numbers.
last
All
week.
right.
We all had the Chiefs right last week, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
all
the
were right.
jinx, the reverse jinx didn't work last week,
Reverse trick.
sadly.
Sorry, Raider
But
fans, we tried.
it
I'll
almost
go
did.
first.
Almost did.
I'll go first. I got the what's my score? I'll go with the Bengals 30-20. That sounds good. I think the Raiders are like most of these games in the last month or so, they'll hang around. I think their defense has got enough pride, and I think they'll definitely play tough, and it won't be easy for the Bengals at first. But I just think the better team will kind of wear them down. Like has been the case in the past. I think they're going to pull away late. So I got 30-20 uh, Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go Bengals 27, Raiders 23. I do think it ends up being a fairly
See,
competitive
23.
game. Yeah, they
Oh, it's a
scored it,
number.
not over. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
124,
You
but
said
23.
over
Yeah,
23. Yeah,
I got you.
yeah. So they're under. But
Well done.
yeah, I think this Bengals defense is bad enough to where Raiders should be able to have a little bit of success, but I just think ultimately, I mean, they have Joe Burrow. When it comes to clutch time, I'm going to roll with the team with a better quarterback, especially with them being at home. So I think the Bengals pull it out.
Yeah, I got Bengals 27, Raiders 20. The defense is going to play hard. They're going to make some plays, but I think ultimately Burrow is going to be able to get them to move the ball. And offensively, I think they'll be able to move the ball, but I think they kind of falter out in the red zone. The red zone play calling has just been atrocious. So I think when they get there, they'll kind of sputter out, and that'll end up being the difference in the game.
I mean, atrocious. Like 2 weeks ago, he tried to throw the ball every time and it didn't work. Now he's trying to run the ball every time. But what's he supposed to do? I mean, he's tried both ways. I mean, what's the
I
magic
feel like
ticket
you
answer for Luke Getsy? What would you have called in the red zone there?
could have mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah, run a play action on second down or something. I mean,
Uh,
geez, I know I wouldn't have Trey Tucker try to block an inside linebacker. That's for
Man,
sure. But
if it had worked, you'd be like, what a great call, man. Never saw it coming. They were surprised. Genius call. But it's tough out there, man. It's tough in these streets for offensive coordinators on Raiders teams.